Us. All right. Well, good morning. Welcome to the Jennifer O'Brien Show. I'm your host, Jennifer O'Brien. And with me today, I have a very special guest, Mr. Dave Ebert. Hello. Good morning, Dave. How are you?
I am good. It's good to see you. Glad to be a part of it. The Jennifer O'Brien Show, one half of the O'Brien sisters, which is one of the greatest comedy shows known to mankind.
Oh, plug there. I didn't even have to pay you to say that. And wow. Wow, folks, that was organic. That was completely organic. There was no exchange of money. That just naturally flowed out of Dave there. Thank you. Yes, my sister and I, the O'Brien sisters, us just basically that's basically what our childhood was or is, or who knows, we're still living it out. And we just get on that podcast and just relive the glory years. And so Dave, I'm here today. We're here today to talk about you, though. This interview is about you. So I know you are an improv comedian, and I absolutely adore improv. It's my favorite. So just tell us a little bit about your comedy journey, how you got started, and all that good stuff. So take it away.
Cool. My comedy is basically my comedy journey is my testimony of faith.
Mm-hmm.
As a young kid, I loved entertaining. Making my parents laugh, their friends laugh. It was kind of my drug. It's what I'm addicted to. It's what I love to do. And as a kid, it was the pure motive of just enjoying laughter.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got to high school. I was entered into a really deep depression because of different things. Like my father was sick for a very long time, and because of that and normal teenage angst, he and I didn't have the greatest relationship. So that, coupled with some other things, and I just entered into a deep depression. So the comedy was still there, but it was for a much different purpose. It was basically as a defense mechanism, as a way to hide how I was feeling. Because at least for me, when I was in depression, I knew I wasn't supposed to be depressed. So it was like this vicious cycle of, I feel depressed, I shouldn't feel depressed. So I got more depressed because I felt depressed. And it just kept building. It's like, it's not fair. It's like somebody throwing water on somebody drowning. It's like, okay, I'm already drowning, stop.
Right. Wow. That's an interesting way to describe it. I love it.
And so for 15, 16 years, I was making people laugh so that they didn't know that I was going through something, and also hoping to keep them from going through the same thing I was going through, because I always felt like if I could make laughter, I was justifying my existence, but I was also helping somebody have a better day.
Yeah.
And helping somebody have a better day, whether it's at my expense or just general roasting people. Either way, they went away better, and I felt like, okay, I can justify to the world that Dave Ebert belongs here because I made somebody's day better.
Wow.
And that was just enough of a hit to keep me from taking that final plunge, or that final step. Then in 2013, I finally let God get a hold of me, and I started to pursue using comedy now for a more pure motive of revealing who he is instead of just trying to hide who I am.
Wow.
And in the meantime, I had done a lot of different performing things. I did 8 years of pro wrestling, which is where most of my improv training comes from.
No way. Pro wrestling. How did that happen?
I kind of fell into being a fan of wrestling, and then started doing some backyard wrestling. Not the crazy stuff with the light bulbs and the cheese graters, but I've never bled in a wrestling match, so none of that crazy
that's
stuff.
Disappointing. So no blood, none
Right.
at all?
I mean, I could go grab a razor blade right now and do it for your show if you want me to.
Nah.
But it was essentially the same as playing pickup basketball. You're having fun. You're doing what you've seen on TV. You're enjoying it. You do it safely and wisely, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And being 6'2", 400 plus, somewhat athletic, it was kind of a natural field for me to go and actually try pro wrestling.
Wow.
And so I was also a DJ at a local radio station they said, "Hey, we want a DJ to come out to this wrestling show to cross promote." And I said, "Okay." And so I went, and usually when you think of a radio DJ, you think of somebody scrawny and skinny, and so when they's like, DJ Big Boy Buddy Love is coming out, out comes me, and it was kind of a crowd attraction. Like, whoa, cool. And so that's how I fell into wrestling. And it was after that I actually started training to learn what I was doing. Because at this point, I was only doing what was done on TV.
Wow.
You know, the big flashy punches and
where, like, is this like an underground, you said backyard wrestling? Is this like, hey guys, we're going to wrestle in Pete's backyard this afternoon? Like, how does this get around? Like, how does that?
The backyard wrestling was actually a couple of my college classmates. They'd met these other guys, and they built a ring out of 2x6s and 4x4s and some carpet padding. So that's where we started. But I actually started doing some of the independent pro wrestling, like the NWA type stuff, where it's not necessarily televised, but it's where all the local people come together and get to the armory and yell and cuss at the bad guys and cheer the good guys. And
no way. So did you have a professional wrestling name? I mean, did you say it a moment ago? Was it your DJ name?
Yeah, it was my DJ name. Big Boy Buddy Love, the East Coast largest athlete.
Big Boy. Wait, say it again.
Big Boy Buddy Love.
Big Boy Buddy Love coming to the ring. All right. So, so did you like, were you like The Rock? Did you get in there and like get all like, like with your improv, with your comedy, I bet you really gave them a great show.
I did what I could. I came out to the old song Love Machine. Love Machine.
Yeah.
And I would try to shake it for the ladies and stuff like that. Funny story, my first ever match was when it was before I trained. And I went to the ring and was working the crowd and trying to get them up. Yeah. And the guy who was wrestling was the bad guy. And he said, "All right, so we're going to start off. I'm going to hit you with a chair, and then we'll go from there." Okay. So as I'm working the crowd, like cheering him, I turn my back to him, knowing he's going to hit me with a chair. Right. But he hit me so hard in my back, I froze and completely no-sold it. I mean, usually when you get hit by a chair, you're supposed to go down and crumple like a sack of potatoes. Right. I just stood there, and I was like, "Oops." And then I slowly turned around like this, like I was the villain, the slow turnaround. Yeah. But it worked because, I'm 6'2", 400 plus pounds. At that time, I was a big athlete. So it worked. But had I been, your size and done that, it would have completely ruined the match.
No way. So people, I mean, the crowd's probably going wild. It's always with a chair, always the chair in the back. It's just a crowd pleaser. Everyone loves a good chair smack.
Yes.
So you guys, I would imagine, and if I'm understanding the kind of wrestling you're doing, you already kind of know you're choreographing the fight before you even get in that ring. Is that okay? So you kind of say, okay, you're going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to win this fight. Yada, yada. So you already have it determined between you two, how it's going down. Yeah. Let's see. June Colson says, Dave was born to be a superhero. Jennifer, what would your wrestler name be? I don't know. Scaredy cat. I'd just be hanging out on the ring. Like, I don't know what I would do. I don't know. I would probably really, I don't know. I got to think about that, June. Let's see. Michelle says, "Oh, look, two of my faves." Come on. Came in late. Is he wrestling angels? Did you wrestle angels, Dave?
I did not. I wrestled a lot of bad guys.
A lot. So you were always the good guy.
Yeah.
You always the good guy. Interesting that did you ever want to be the bad guy? Were you ever wanting to cross over? Okay.
Because in many ways it's easier to be the bad guy, because if you mess up as the bad guy, the crowd will even pile on top of that. But if you're the good guy and you mess up, like you miss a move, or like one time I was doing the move where you see the guys kind of wrench the arm up and over. I completely slipped off and fell on my tuchus in front of everybody as the good guy. And at that moment, you just feel the crowd like, this guy's not worth cheering. But if it's the bad guy that falls, they're like, you stink, you're horrible.
Right, right. Wow, what a fine line. So Very cool. I've actually never met a professional wrestler, so I'm a little I mean, I grew up on Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper. Is that who? Yeah, am I
Yeah,
saying it right? And I mean, I'm old school, I'm old school wrestling. And then The Rock and all those guys came in
yeah.
later, he wanted to be a bad guy for dating purposes only because girls like bad guys, LOL.
She's
Well,
not wrong.
she is not wrong. But then, hopefully girls grow up and realize those bad guys, they're not worth it. They're not
Most
worth it.
don't. Most don't until they find Jesus.
That's right. That's right. And then you got one of those converted ones.
Yes.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I had no idea. So here you are wrestling, good guy. Are you making money? Did you make money doing that? No.
No.
No, it was all just for show, huh?
20 to 30 bucks a night, which covered gas and the Waffle House. That was it.
So you were it's interesting that performer in you was just like, listen, it's stage time. I'm wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm just hanging out. You were just excited to have an audience.
Right.
It didn't really matter. So tell me, how does being a radio DJ, a professional wrestler, how do you eventually realize you're going to break into comedy here?
Because, well, first, wrestling is, there's usually a script and an idea of who's going to win, who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. But for the most part, when you know what you're doing as a wrestler, you're improvising. You're feeding off the crowd. You're feeding off each other in the ring. It's essentially a physical improv theater in the round because you have people on all four sides. So you learn how to just feed and tell the story, and you learn the idea of if the match is going really well, just like an improv scene, if it's going really well, you'll stretch it. You'll give the audience more of what they want. But if it's not working, if the audience isn't buying it, if you guys are just having an off night in the wrestling ring or in an improv scene, you edit quickly so you save the show.
Yeah.
And so scene and in wrestling scene is 1, 2, 3. Loving the flowers behind the wrestler's head. He was never destined to be a bad guy. I was a bad guy for a short run, and it was a lot of fun because, again, I didn't have to worry about messing up because if I messed up, it just brought more heat. And actually, I got plenty of fish hits when I was a bad guy. But
really? We're not going. That's not the show today.
No,
the dark side of Dave Ebert. Dark
Yeah.
side. We're not going there. He's been redeemed.
Yes.
Dave is uber talented. Okay, so yeah. So at what point, when did you first, you said in 2013, you realized God got a hold of you and you're like, okay, I've got this comedy, but now I'm going to flip that narrative and I'm going to use it to glorify God.
Yeah.
This gifting. So tell me what that transformation looked like for you.
Yeah. So it was January of 2013. I was walking to work. I was late as usual. And I lived in a very low populated area of town, uptown Beckley. And so there's really no reason for these kids to be there other than divine appointment. There's two kids from a Bible college, Appalachian Bible College in Beckley, just out of my corner. Beckley, West Virginia.
West Virginia. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So if you look at West Virginia like this, it's like right here.
Okay.
Just geography lesson, you know.
It's in the meat of the finger. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm walking to work late as usual. I had to be there at 9, and it was like 8:59. I had a 3-minute walk. These kids are out there. They're like, "Hey, can we pray for you?" And they're out there doing their evangelism, and I'm like, "Yo, I'm a Christian. I'm fine. I'm saved. I'm good." But they handed me a tract, and I was like, "Oh, thanks so much. I got to get to work." So I went to work, came home, and at that point, I've been wrestling a lot with the idea of still wrestling with suicide, but at the same time, do I actually pursue God for real this time? Wow. And so this was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, is like God's last nudge and tap on my shoulder, say, "Hey, I'm right here." So I started reading my Dollar General King James Bible and started reading Rick Warren's Purpose Driven Life. And I decided, and I felt God leading me to leave West Virginia, but I didn't know where to go. My mom was in Roanoke, Virginia, and my sister was up in the Chicago suburbs. And I was trying to think, well, I want to do something with comedy, with performance. There's not many opportunities here in Beckley. There's some
Mhm.
opportunities where my mom's at in Roanoke and a little bit further south in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, well, maybe I should just crash at my mom's and just start completely over. Then my sister, she invited me to Chicagoland to crash on her couch and start over. And I was like,
Wow.
"Are you sure?" And she's like, "Yeah." If you so 6 weeks later in March, I'm moving into my sister's one-bedroom apartment, living on her couch.
Wow.
And it's just as a couple months later, I met a guy through Craigslist of all places,
Uh-oh.
and, and we decided let's do Christian improv because we hadn't heard of it before. So we thought we're going to be pioneers,
Okay.
but
No,
we weren't
you're
really
like, no,
pioneers.
it's already existent, but in
Yeah,
your mind, you're pioneers. That's fine.
yeah,
Go with it.
because we picked out this really awesome name that nobody in the world would have ever thought of except somebody did 10 years before. There's a group in Dallas that they're now Fish Sticks, but they used to
Yeah.
be called Himprov. We came up with the name Himprov completely on our own, and we're like, oops,
Oh.
they have a Facebook page. Maybe we should like be friends and like, hey, we could be Himprov Chicago so that we're different. And they're like,
Uh-huh.
we don't know you, so no.
Uh-huh.
Which actually was cool. It forced us to be our own brand and our own thing. And
So
yeah,
was this the original? Okay, so you had reached out. What had Robin, my sister, love my thank you. Thank you.
oh, hi, Robin.
Hola. That is a great sister. Make sure you dedicate your book to her. Yes.
Oh, by the way, I actually got to meet Michelle on the way back from Dallas a week and a half ago. That was awesome.
Really?
Yeah,
Aw.
Michelle's really great.
Yeah, she is. She's such an encourager. Michelle's
She
just
is.
like a big warm hug and
She is.
make you feel better about yourself. You're like, "Oh, I'm not doing so bad." So, yeah, she's definitely got the gift of encouragement for sure.
She is
Um,
awesome. So anybody
she
watching,
is.
go check out Laugh I'm Funny on Facebook.
Okay, go do
That's
it. Go
that's
do
her
it.
page.
That is her page. She says, "I'll pay you later, Dave."
Oh, she picked up lunch that day, so she's already paid me.
Ah, yeah, she's awesome. Her and June, I know,
Um,
have a podcast too.
yeah, Laugh
Mhm.
support.
That's right.
Uh, oh yeah. So where were we? I derailed us.
You were creating Himprov, realizing someone already created it, but now you and this guy are like, "Forget it, we'll just rebrand it." So what was your name? What'd you land on?
Well, I am somebody that really likes puns and wordplay, so I was like, what if we combine ha 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 and amen? So our first name was ha ha men.
Haha, men.
Yeah.
Ah, that's cute. I like it.
It was cute until nobody understood the name and they always mispronounced it and they
Mhm.
had trouble pronouncing it. I'm like, even people on the team were like, would just blow it out of the water. And it's like,
Yeah.
come on, guys, it's not that hard. It's English. It's not even like a Latin name.
Yeah.
So we decided, well, ha 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 men was too hard.
Mhm.
And so we just dropped one of the ha's, went to ha ha men.
Yeah.
And at that point, we were mostly women. Uh, so people are like, how can you guys be ha ha men when you're mostly women?
Yeah.
And then we also had some outside forces that impacted. We said, well, let's just rebrand completely, get away from the wordplay,
Yeah.
and we are now well-versed comedy.
Well-versed comedy. Okay. So no confusion there with well-versed comedy. And tell me, so this you started this in Chicago
Yeah.
and this back in 20 March of well, I don't know, what point in 2015? Was this 2014 by the time this got started?
We got started the summer of 2013. Our first
Mhm.
official show was in November of 2013. And then
Okay.
we in 2014 we had a 3-month run at the Comedy Shrine in Aurora, where we were doing a Sunday afternoon show called Laughter After Pastor.
Ah, tell
And
us about that. How did that go? Was that successful?
it was moderately successful. I think that if I had a better eye for design and a better social media strength back then, it
Mhm.
might have done better. But because all I would do is just post the event and invite my friends. I didn't know really how to market the show, so it
Mhm.
ended up being canceled. And
Yeah, that's
thank
a
you,
tou you
Michelle.
know, well, that's a tough thing I've
Yeah,
noticed, because as creatives, I'll speak for myself, I that's a hard hat to go ahead and put on. It's like, let me just do the funny, let me just be creative, but
yeah,
then it's like, now we're in such a time where it's like, yeah, but go out and market, and you gotta there's so much that in some ways, yeah, it's great that we have all this, social media and technology. Another way, it's like you gotta really work that part of your business
yeah.
or, it kinda just flops. So,
So yeah, it was a good
I see
run.
that.
We learned a lot.
Mhm.
And then yeah, the run ended, and we had a couple members leave, and it got to the point where like, do we need to even bother continuing? Because this is the
Mm.
summer of 2014. One of our members had moved to Kansas City.
Mhm.
Two of our members just up and left because they thought that they could do better somewhere else, and so we just had me and one other guy, and um, so we kind of stumbled along for a little bit, then picked up some more momentum. It's really been an up and down thing where we'd finally get some momentum, and then something would stop it, and then
Mhm.
people would leave, and then it's just me and one other person, or me or two other people. It's definitely been an interesting ride trying to drive my own group, because we're not part of one church. We're spread out all over Chicagoland. We
Yeah.
have people that live 2 hours from where I live, so we meet in the middle for our rehearsals. But it's definitely a God thing, because there's no other way other than God that we could have even met these people. He
Wow.
arranged the meetings and put us together, and I would love to do comedy as a way to provide for my family and to minister all over the world, but
Mhm.
God hasn't opened that door yet. But if you look at that link that Michelle just posted, click
Yes.
on that, like our page, contact me, have jokes will travel.
Have jokes will travel. Yes. And, I mean, I've done improv and I've done stand up and sketch. And I mean, I love all things comedy. There's nothing like an improv show.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a clean one and all of a sudden you've got little kids and you've got grown parent, the parents or the grandparents, and you've got an entire diverse audience,
Yeah.
and somehow every single person is laughing and engaged and encouraged. And that's, to me, what improv has over stand up a lot of times, is that you're able to reach just this broad selection, because sometimes the kids are just laughing at some, even if the parents are getting the punchlines, the kids are loving that you're all of a sudden you're doing these accents, or you're morphing into this or that. So it's such a neat way. Um Back when I was doing more improv, that was one highlight that I always walked away from. And tell me about that. Do you find that as well?
I do. The beauty of comedy in general is that it can bring a group of strangers together to whether
Mhm.
nobody in that room is alone. Because when
Yeah.
you laugh at something, you're actually admitting something about yourself, and when you're admitting
Mhm.
something about yourself, and a hundred other people are admitting the same thing, there's a connection that happens there, even if it's just for the hour. But there's a
Yeah.
connection, and you're no longer alone. And
Yeah.
Michael Jr. gave a quote in an interview about 10 years ago where he said, laughter is the tangible evidence of hope. And I
Mm.
love that quote,
Mhm.
because if you're laughing, you realize that there's more than what burdens you're carrying.
Yeah.
And let's see, I see June's chime in. All the starts and stops can be frustrating, but I'm learning within the journey comes many and many assignments. And by
Mm.
many assignments, she's talking about her podcast co-host.
I don't know, June. June, could you clarify that? Yeah, it is a journey. It absolutely, and it can be frustrating. Dave, I feel you. You get momentum, or one projects are taken off, and then chick, chick, and then I say, wait, no, 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 no. Chick, 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 chick. So, LOL, you made Michelle laugh there. That's her co-host.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is quite a journey, and that's a great way to look at it. Yeah, you all these people all of a sudden are just laughing and coming together, and improv is it just has a way to totally transform and connect a room.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful thing. Uh-oh, hold on. We got some more comments. Yes, Michelle's wrestler name is Chicken Little. I'd like to see a chicken suit on Michelle if that's who she is.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
would be pretty
That would be
awesome.
fun. That would be fun to see that.
The next live
Um,
edition of Laugh Support, we got to get that chicken suit on her.
get the chicken suit. My sister, her dream is to own a chicken suit. So I don't know. I'm throwing that out for my sister as well. She wants to get in on that chicken suit action. Maybe
And
they could start a whole wrestling group.
the cool thing is if Michelle gets that suit and they're doing Laugh Support, she could actually do a segment in the chicken suit, call it Chicken Suit for the Soul.
I like it. I think she should take it and go with it. Okay, I gotta send her one, and she'll make it hen size. She'll wear it.
What is
So
hen size? Because I've been to the store lately shopping with my wife, and they have an
Mhm.
ox size. It goes ox, then 1X, 2X, 3X. I never understood. I felt that was kind of rude to put
That is a
ox
little
as a
rude.
woman's size.
Listen. This is the first I'm hearing of it. I'm a little concerned. I really am. So okay, so Dave, now that we know your comedy journey, this moment where all of a sudden God is really speaking clear to you, and now you're all of a sudden you're in Chicago. It sounds like you've stayed in Chicago and have really taken and run with it, even though, like you were saying, it's been quite a start stop journey. How has what are things looking like for you now that with, I know COVID's been kind of a bit of a challenge, but it does look like you're doing some more live events, and how is that going now that, things have changed a little bit with COVID? What's that like?
It's exciting to get back on stage. We have a show actually this Saturday. There's a church in Lombard Assembly, that's allowed us to rehearse in their sanctuary for free, no rent or anything. So it's kind of
Oh.
a thank you gift and kind of show them what we're doing in their church when nobody else is there. We're doing a free show for them. They're using it as an outreach. Pregnant chicken. But then we have a couple shows in November already scheduled. We're doing a kind of a fall festival for Trinity Christian College, which is where two of our members graduated from. With my poor grammar by using the preposition at the end. And then the next day on the 6th, we're doing a fundraiser for Royal Family Kids Camp, which is a camp that operates specifically for foster children, because many times they fall through the cracks or forgotten about.
Mhm.
And we just take them away from whatever may be plaguing them and take them to camp, give them a week where they're treated like absolute royalty. We have birthday parties and Christmas parties for them. So
Hmm.
that's a lot of fun. And so we're raising money for them on the 6th.
Okay.
Then actually, I'm doing some improv training too. I volunteer at a group called Salt and Light Coalition, and I teach improv to women who've survived sex trafficking. And I
Wow.
use it as a way to help them find their inner child that
Mhm.
maybe they have never tapped into, because many of these women have been sold into trafficking as early as 10 or 11 years old. And
Mm.
so their childlike creativity has been dormant for decades. It helps them build their self-esteem, communication skills, and if nothing else, they just get to laugh and forget about the cares of the world for an hour a month.
Oh, that is so incredible. And Michelle, that is very therapeutic. I know I've heard you mention that. I am so glad you brought that up. That how can God just not love it? It's like you're using this incredible gift of comedy to raise funds for, different people out there, but also helping these women. And I just, and I know we'll be wrapping it up here in just a moment, but is there been a highlight with that ministry of helping these women that have, been enslaved and now are coming? Is there been one of those highlight moments where you're like, this is why I do what I do?
There have been
Um,
several. Yeah, there have been several. One I think about most is, and obviously I can't mention names, but one of the
mhm,
ladies had come in, and you could see that she was in that mood where she was like, "I wish somebody would. I wish somebody would just say something," because
mhm,
she just had a lot of anger, frustrations, worry all pent up, and she was waiting for somebody just to pop that balloon so she could go off and vent. So she came in, and part of the program is whenever there's a class or a workshop, you have to participate. You can't sit out and just pout. You've got to get in.
Okay.
So she came in, obviously burdened with the burdens of the world, and she didn't want to participate, but she had to. But within 3 minutes, you could see 3 minutes of playing a game called Bippity Bippity Bop. I don't know if you've ever done it. But within 3 minutes, you could literally see the crack up. You could see the burdens crack and fall off. You could see the arms come down, the furrowed brow relax. And she was, within 3 to 5 minutes, she was laughing with everybody else. And it was like a completely different person with just a matter of a few minutes of just playing something as simple and as silly as Bippity Bippity Bop.
Wow.
And it's those moments and moments like that make it, it's like, if I never do anything else with comedy, if I never perform for a paid house again, but I get to do this, then it's worth it.
That's so great. And you know what? Listen, I hope and pray that I wish you the best. I know you're a very funny, very talented comedian, and I just pray you just stick with it. You're making such a difference and impacting so many lives, and that's all we can hope for, as we kind of give our gifts back over to God, and we allow him to kind of steer that we're not kind of driving the selfish ambition that's like, yeah, there's that part of us. We all want to be recognized for these gifts and talents, but ultimately surrendering that and trusting that God's got bigger plans and a bigger purpose. But that is so awesome. So you are well-versed comedy. If you want to check out Dave, go to wellversedcomedy.com. Please, if you're in the Chicago area, but he travels, has jokes, will travel. He'll go anywhere. So if your church wants to do an improv show, fundraiser, whatever, please check out Dave. Very talented, very funny. So anyway, Dave, I think we're wrapping it up. Any closing remarks before we end this interview?
Thanks so much for what you said. I appreciate it. And if you're in Chicagoland, give us a call. If you're in Tulsa area, give Michelle Van Dusen a call. If you're in the Bowling Green, Kentucky area, give June Von Colson a call. And Jennifer, you're in the Atlanta area, right?
I'm in Atlanta. Give me a call. Give us calls. Call us.
Call us all. Just bring us all into one central location, and we'll just have a festival of laughs in the Lord.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Well, I look forward to. I've never actually met you. We've only met through doing interviews like this. But Dave, I know you're an extremely talented and funny guy. And let's just close on here. Michelle Van Dusen says calls and chocolate. That's right. We do accept payments and chocolate, and we actually prefer it. We prefer it. She says, "Oh yes, Festival of Laughs. Let's do it. Let's do it." Listen.
Yes.
Why not? Why not? All right. Well, thanks, Dave, for coming on. We'll have to do this again. And thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all next time. Bye-bye.